Welcome back here into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. We are back in the studio to break down day 3 of the NFL Combine, the testing, the winners and losers. If you want offensive line, winners, losers, the big hog mollies, hit that sub button. My boy Jack Sparrow will have that for you guys tomorrow. All right, let's dive into the winners. First up, maybe the biggest one, Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, had himself a very strong showing. He had the second fastest 40-yard dash time of anybody, a 4.29. Focused his testing on that, didn't do any of the agilities, at least as of filming. I'll make note, we don't have the agilities for the receivers. At some point, we'll get them. It'll change maybe slightly some of the winners and losers stuff. 4.29 40-yard dash. I thought he was fast. I did not think he was that fast. I thought like a 4.4 would be a great time. I made the comment on our Cowboy show. If you told me one Texas guy ran a 4.4, and one guy ran a 4.2, and I went, wow, okay, that's a really good time for Isaiah Bond and a really good time for Matthew Golden. They were flipped. Great job by Golden. All right, under the radar player that maybe a lot of people haven't discussed necessarily is Tai Felton, the Maryland wide receiver. I'll make note as you see this relative athletic score from my guy at MathBomb on Twitter. 4.37 is the official time. He's going to update with some of the agilities come in, the official times for the 40-yard dashes. So you'll see like minor differences that don't really change any of the numbers, frankly. But 6'1", really great vertical ability. I think there are some good value picks in this year's draft, and I think Felton goes day 3, maybe sneaks into day 2. That name stands out to me. All right, next up is Bhayshul Tuten. That is the Virginia Tech running back who, if you've watched our special Cowboys Report live stream, I made the comment, keep an eye out for Tuten. I think he was going to really impress in his testing, and he did. Now, he's not the biggest guy. He's 5'9", 206. He got a weak fumbling issue that he has sometimes, but 40.5-inch vert, 10-10 broad, a 4.32 40-yard dash, and I'll give him credit, too, for trying the shuttle. It wasn't very good testing in the shuttle. Maybe some stiffness there, which is a slight concern. But a 4.41 40-yard dash the shuttle time being faster than the 40 is actually kind of rare, the 4.41 shuttle, the 4.32 40. Overall, though, this is a very physically gifted athlete who's overlooked as a likely day 3 pick. I think Omarion Hampton, the North Carolina running back, kind of, if he wasn't already, he was for me. I think he announced himself as, I am the number 2 back in this class, or even the 1A, 1B, if you want to do Genty 1A there. He's got great size. He's a shade under 6 foot, 221, 4.48 40-yard dash. I thought if he could crack 4.5, that's a really good time for a player of his size. Also did the shuttle. Didn't do that great. That is okay. I don't know how the running back class is going to fall because there's a lot of really, really good ones. And I think Hampton's too. I don't know where RB2 goes. Is that in round 1? Is that in round 2? If I had to guess, if the Vikings lose Aaron Jones, RB2 could very well go in round, because it's such a good class. At some point, players are going to be like, this is the best guy on our board. We have to take them. So does Hampton go in round 1? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments of today's show. The pin comment, the ad comes here on YouTube. Quinshon Judkins, the Ohio State running back. Couple notes here. TreVeyon Henderson did run faster, 4.43. He had a great showing. A lot of guys, a lot of these backs, by the way, cracking sub 4.5 is really good times there. I think the overall testing profile for Judkins, who is bigger than Henderson, at shade under 6 foot, 221, had really great vertical numbers as well. That's almost 20 pounds heavier than Henderson and still ran a 4.48. I still think Henderson has better sustain and stamina in his long breakaway runs. But Judkins, after the Henderson run was so good in the CFP, reminding I am also probably a top 5 back in this class. Let's go to DJ Giddens, the Kansas State running back, who there's been some questions if he was fast or not. I thought he was pretty quick. I think he has good speed there. And that was, again, proven at the Combine by his testing. Again, there's good size here. 6 foot. He's 212. 39.5-inch vert. Had better shuttles than some of the other players out there, 4.33. And a 4.43 40-yard dash. I probably could have done an entire video on just the running backs who tested great and were winners, because that was almost all of them. Tahj Brooks is next up here. There were very real long speed questions about Tahj Brooks. So for him to test 4.52 and look really good in the shuttle and the 3-cone at his size, he's shorter, but he's 214, that kind of alleviates some concerns for a very productive back that I think has real talent and real ability, and I think could be in a class full of potential day 3 steals at the position. I think Tahj Brooks is very much being slept on. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It is available in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. They've got combine PrizePicks slates that are available. I did not show you my boy Jeremy Chugg because I was worried he was taking the less thans on too many guys, including Isaiah Bond, which wouldn't have worked out very well for you, so I'm glad I did not show that. You can run my boy Jack Lauder ran the baseball PrizePicks slate, though, even with his homer, quote-unquote, pun there with Durant because he's a Boston fan. Go download the PrizePicks app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. Tory Horton is next up here. I think he would have been a fringe day 2 pick had he turned pro last year, I think. Maybe would have gone in the 4th round. Coming off the injury, which I think kind of made him get lost in the shuffle to an extent in the receiving core, at 6'2.5", 196, really great testing for Horton. The official 40 time, by the way, this was not what MathBomb had, so this is a bigger change. 4.41 40-yard dash for Horton at that size. Very impressive. I think he deserves to go on day 2. Now there's a real question mark for who ends up being wide receiver 5 in this class. Jayden, Higgins, and others planting their flags in said conversation. Higgins is 6'4", 214, and at that size, I'm always going, okay, can you crack sub 4.55 to make me feel good? I feel great about you at sub 4.5, and that's what Higgins did. 4.47 at that size with some inside-outside flex. There's been a lot of discussion. Who's better, Jayden Higgins or Jaylin Noel? The answer is probably just yes. Different players. Higgins is the big outside guy. Jaylin Noel is the slotty receiver, the slot receiver. He also is a winner on this list. By the way, it's a long winners list because these guys are good. Now, he's much smaller. He's 5'10", 194. It's the Twins poster with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. It's kind of like that for these Iowa State boys. Final times here for Noel is actually 4.39 officially. Great vert, some of the best verts you'll see in this year's class. Great broad. From a just overall testing perspective in the vertical, tied for first in the vert and led the crew in the broad among wide receivers, and then was top 3 overall in the broad and was tied for second in the broad. Only Ayomanor was better in those testing numbers. Another big body receiver, also still in contention for that wide receiver 5 spot, for me at least, is Tre Harris. Again, big frame, 6'2" and change, 205. Really great testing in terms of the vert and the broad, helping that overall relative athletic score. Was not as fast as some of the other players, but again, you got to crack that 4.5 number. He narrowly did, 4.54. I'm not upset about that one. Guy I have been higher on for a while, who's been in some of our first-round mock drafts earlier this season, Elic Ayomanor out of Stanford. Again, this is a bigger body. He's almost 6'2". He's 206. 4.44 was the official time. 4s across the board. A 4.44 40-yard dash for Elic Ayomanor is an awesome time. I was worried about him being a little bit slow. Go watch the highlight reel. I don't advise doing that in most cases because it's kind of lame. I can get you the all-22 if you want to just hit me up. But he was held back by bad quarterback play. That will not be the case in theory, or even relative to the quarterback play in Stanford in the NFL. It's a chance to be nice. Name an NFL Combine winner for me from day 3. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. NFL Combine winner from day 3. Chimere Dike. It is pronounced Dike. Don't be inappropriate. That is how it's pronounced. Kind of an under-the-radar player at Florida. A couple good Florida receivers, I think, looking ahead long-term there. But you start being able to put times at the 4.34 official 40-yard dash time. Oh, boy, that intrigues me. A little bit undersized, can do some inside-outside stuff, but not small by the imagination. Like he's got, actually, you know what? I take it back. He has good size. At that speed, it's really intriguing. Executive producer Sam Brown would be mad if I did not put Miami Hurricane wide receiver Sam Brown in this list, but he deserves it. He tested great. 6'2", 200 pounds, 41.5 inch, where we just mentioned one of the better ones there. Also ran a 4.44. The tight end class was profoundly disappointing in their testing. The receivers and the running backs, they were not. Raheim Rocket Sanders is next up here, the Arkansas turned South Carolina transfer. There'd been some questions about how fast he was truly going to test. The official 40 time was 4.46 at 6'2", I think the PrizePicks more than less than was 4.56. So significantly better there for Rocket Sanders. Back to receivers, Deontay Thornton, the wide receiver from Tennessee, the second fastest 40-yard dash time. A 4.3 40-yard dash at 6'4" 5/8 inches. The vert was kind of disappointing. The broad was great, though. That is an explosive vertical threat. He still needs some development as a pure receiver, but day 3 developmental guy, this is somebody to certainly monitor. Isaac TeSlaa, which, first off, we have gone far too deep with the Elon sponsorship plans. I don't know what we're doing out here. Get it? It's funny. But this is also freaky shit. 6'3" and 5/8. So talking about 9.96, unofficial time there. Official 40 was actually 4.43 at 2.14 with elite broad, elite verts. We'll see if some of these guys are probably very stiff and they probably should not do the 3-cone drills. That's what we learned from DK Metcalf, right? Don't do that stuff. Again, there's always a couple players that I don't get to. I got to almost 100 players, I think, going into the combine. And I'll get to another 100 more, and then in this month, and then 100 more before the draft, and get to probably 250, somewhere in that range. I didn't get to TeSlaa yet. I'm excited to. And Isaiah Nayor, the wide receiver out of Nebraska. A couple years previous classes, there's been there's no good X receivers. There's a lot of 6'2" plus guys that run in the 4.4s in this class. Throw a dart, throw at them. 6'4" 1/4, 218, ran a 4.4 flat, actually. The unofficial, I know, says 4.43. It's now 4.4. 38-inch vert and 101 broad. It's a great receiver class from athletic testing perspectives. Now, I do want to discuss the quarterbacks here because everyone cares about QBs, and rightfully so. If you've watched this show before, you'll notice something similar. I don't really value, I borderline don't care about throwing at the combine unless you are bad, which I probably already know that going in anyway. I don't really care how you look in shorts against air with no pressure in a controlled situation. I don't think your opinions, if you don't have opinions going in, that's fine. But I think if you have opinions on a QB, it shouldn't really change because they look good or didn't look good in shorts. It shouldn't matter. We have actual games and throws they'll actually make that we can study. Athletic testing is great. I appreciate Tyler Shuck running. Awesome. I would have loved to see Jaylin Milroe throw or run, whatever. I know he's fast. I don't need to see that. I don't need to see athletic testing. I don't factor athletic testing that much for quarterback because it's all about this stuff up here. And I will make this rant too, though. I hate the forced hype from big media this year at quarterback. We're back on our BS of hyping up Tom Savage might be a first-round pick. Kellen Mond going to sneak into round 1. I remember that. NFL Network, I get it's the event. They're trying to hype up the QBs. Let's not make stuff up like Jackson Dart was the number 1 high school recruit. He wasn't. I think they actually meant he won the Gatorade National Player of the Year, which, okay, but that's still not what you said. If you like Jackson Dart going in, more power to you. You probably liked what you saw because he showed some of the similar stuff. I thought his deep ball was a little bit too not enough arc on it, but he's got a solid arm. Quinn Ewers against air and under pressure, of course he looked solid. Still underthrew some deep balls. Thought Will Howard, by the way, Will Howard was getting booed. That's a joke. You fans should be ashamed of yourself. Come on. With that said, we should invent a new combine drill where you just get heckled for 5 straight throws or 10 straight throws, and we see how you handle that. Put you in a road environment out there. That's what I would like to see. And Chuck actually ran pretty well. I'll give him, tip of the hat there. I don't worry about combine for QBs. I don't care about pro day. You should look good. Otherwise, what are we doing out here? I think there are 2 QBs that should probably go in round 1. Maybe a team gets desperate. How many QBs do you think go in round 1 of this year's class? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. You got to be negative too sometimes, folks. Let's go to Tahj Johnson. And this one was, I'll say it. I was shocked at what Tahj Johnson ran today. I didn't see this coming. Now, the official 40 time was 4.51. The vert and broad were great because he is an explosive athlete. I can't believe it was a 4.55. He didn't look 4.51 on film. It's really hard for me to get on board with a sub 5'10", 154-pound wide receiver who ran a 4.51. It was my issue with Tank Dell. Tank Dell's worked out. That comp still works. Tank Dell's an outlier. There's still a lot that Tahj Johnson has to overcome. I'd still take him, whether it's late day 2, early day 3. I think that's still a worthwhile gamble. But that's just, there are limitations and issues he will face in the NFL. That's just how it works at that size. Now, I do want to mention this part too, because we're going to put Isaiah Bond and Jayden Blue both on here. And Isaiah Bond had a 4.39 40-yard dash. That's awesome. Jayden Blue ran a 4.38. Those are both good times. Look, you can't get up there and tell us, I'm going to set the fastest 40-yard dash time. I can run in the 4.1s in the case of Isaiah Bond and crack 4.4 barely. Just can't do it. You're gonna get clowned a little bit, and Xavier Worthy's gonna take shots at you. They're both. If they hadn't said that, I would have put Jayden Blue on the winners list. By the way, Bond I think would have been about what I expected, maybe a little bit even slower. So I think he's a 4.3 guy. I was honestly disappointed by his time. Blue was very good though. So name an NFL Combine loser from day 3. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Kyle Monunga, I think that's how you pronounce it, out of Rutgers. All of these backs are running fast. All these guys. Jordan James going 4.5. Monunga ran 4.6 flats. Only 2 other backs posted slower times. Ollie Gordon tested bigger and more explosive. And Ulysses Bentley the 4th, who had a really, really bad showing. We're not going to put him on the loser list too if you want. But 4.6 at 211. He's a battering ram running back. I knew that, but that was still, in a class chock full of these crazy athletes, that was really disappointing. So was Caleb Johnson. Now, I had kind of put the over-under for Caleb Johnson. Like, can you get to 4.5, 4.53, somewhere in that range? 4.57 for Caleb Johnson. There had been buzz on Twitter of this guy's a 4.3 athlete. I never bought that. Let me pull up my texts here. Let me pull this up here because I was texting with another NFL media buddy, another NFL draft guy, about Caleb Johnson. I'm like, are you seeing this 4.3 buzz for Caleb Johnson? Let me see if I can find this here. I'm being very stupid here, and this is bad TV, but maybe it was. All right, that's enough trying it. We tried it. Makes for bad TV. Speaking of me, we'll make this as me a loser. Hand up, ball up top. I had predicted on our last video, Malachi Starks was going to test really well in the agility drills, and I was worried about Harold Fannin. Starks did not test well. Fannin actually did. That's on me. I still like Starks. Still have some concerns with him, and same with Harold Fannin. But I told you guys that if I made a mistake, you could at me on Freezing Cold Takes, so feel free.